Has anyone else noticed that the main quest line in the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion makes no sense? Well, what's up guys, it's Sir Thorn here, and welcome to another video game lore and discussion video. I do these analysis and discussion videos on a regular basis, so if you'd like to see more of them, hit that subscribe button to stay notified. The plot holes begin literally the minute you create your character. Yeah, literally that early on, and the plot holes are already starting to pile up. You create your character, and immediately, Vaelendreth starts throwing insults at you. Now, I don't have a problem with an inmate getting his laughs at your expense. I mean, you gotta entertain yourself in that prison somehow. Besides, as we'll learn during the Dark Brotherhood questline, he'd already served close to 11 years in that cell, so I'd imagine he's pretty insane by this point. No, the problem I have is, he acts as if he's just noticing you for the first time, which begs the question of exactly how long you've been in the cell. Considering that it's only going to be a few moments before the Emperor and his blades show up, it is rather convenient that you don't seem to even exist until you actually create your character. So anyway, it turns out that due to a mix-up at the Watch, you were placed in a cell that's supposed to remain empty so that it can be used as an emergency escape route. However, there's a twist in the tale. The Emperor realizes that you are, literally, the man of his dreams.
You are the one from my dreams.
So the Emperor's boner overrides his logic and he asks you to come with him. You eventually reach a dead end, and the Blades decide to leave you alone with the Emperor. Consummate professionals, ladies and gentlemen. Sure, let's just leave this prisoner we literally just met in a dead-end room with the Emperor while assassins are hot on his tail. What could possibly go wrong here? So just before he dies, he tells you that there is one last son who can inherit the throne. It turns out, 18 years ago, he cheated on his wife and had an illegitimate child, and now this illegitimate child is the true heir to the throne. So it really is a good thing that the Emperor had this little affair of his, because otherwise they'd have been screwed. So, moral of the story, kids, screw your wedding vows, cheat on your wife, because you never know when that might save the world. So as soon as he finished that conversation, an assassin shows up out of nowhere and kills the Emperor with a single strike. You're tasked with heading to Joffrey to deliver the amulet, but you actually have nothing other than what you managed to scrape together in the tutorial dungeon, which means that you don't even have a full set of rusty iron armor, let alone any weapons worth a damn. Hey Boris, instead of confiscating Captain Reynolds' sword, why not let me continue to hold on to it for a little while? You know, just in case the assassins attack me for the amulet on my way to Wayne Priory? Now, we'll eventually learn that the only reason the Amulet of Kings is important is because it keeps the dragon fires lit. And the dragon fires are important because they prevent Daedra from entering the realm of Mundus, except temporarily via a conjuration spell. However, the dragon fires cannot banish any Daedra who are already in the realm. So in the climax of the main quest, when Mehrunes Dagon has personally crossed dimensions, that means that lighting the dragon fires won't matter, since we can't kill Mehrunes Dagon because he's a Daedric prince, not just an ordinary Daedra. So that begs the question, why doesn't Dagon just invade right now? We will soon learn that the dragon fires are indeed out at this point in time, because even if we beeline over to Kvatch straight out of the tutorial dungeon, the Oblivion gate is still there, and we hear from the captain of the guard that the gates have been opening and closing all night long.
I don't know how to close this gate, but it must be possible, because the enemy closed the ones they opened during the initial attack.
So clearly the dragon fires must already be out. So why doesn't Dagon just make his move right now? So anyway, we head over to Wayne Priory, and Joffrey is suddenly all accusatory with us.
This cannot be. No one but the Emperor is permitted to handle the amulet.
But then he asks us about the Emperor's death.
Who are you? How did you get this? What do you know of the Emperor's death?
Okay, first of all, how has word gotten to Joffrey so quickly? Granted, you can take as long as you want to deliver the amulet without any adverse consequences, Well, except for your break in immersion. But even if you beeline there, Joffrey's dialogue doesn't change. Second, if he has heard about the Emperor's assassination, then he must have also heard enough news to realize that I had nothing to do with it. So, after you give Joffrey the rundown and he believes you, then he says this line.
Only the strange destiny of Uriel Septim could have brought you to me carrying the Amulet of Kings.
Okay then, what the heck was with the accusatory crap a moment ago? If Uriel's fate was the only way I could have brought you the amulet, then you should have known straight away that I'm only a blameless victim of happenstance. So anyway, he sends us to Kvatch to retrieve the Emperor's last son, Martin. You know, for somebody who just found out he's adopted, and that his parents aren't actually his parents, he's taking it surprisingly well.
It's strange. I think you might actually be telling the truth.
Well, I never really liked my dad. He liked to get drunk a lot and beat my mom, so I'm glad to find out I'm not actually related to him. Yeah, well, your mom isn't actually your mom either. Your real mom is one of the Emperor's concubines. Oh, okay, I think now I need a drink. So we take Martin to Joffrey, and then we head over to Cloud Ruler Temple where Martin can be kept safe for the time being. We then head back to the Imperial City where we meet up with Boris again, and he says this.
Listen, I'm going to get up in a minute and walk out of here. That guy in the corner behind me will follow me. You follow him.
Wait, how does he know this guy will follow him? Has he followed Boris before? If so, then how did Boris survive without killing him? Well, it works, so I suppose we shouldn't question the omniscience of video game logic. God, this is stupid. So Boris explains that he's been tracking the Emperor's assassins and found out they were connected to a secret Daedric cult called the Mythic Dawn. Boris, you realize you didn't have to actually track them to figure that out, right? During the tutorial dungeon, the assassins were wearing Mythic Dawn robes. That alone should have been a dead giveaway that they were members of the Mythic Dawn. But one thing I'd like to know is, why do the Mythic Dawn even need to be secret in the first place? In gameplay, the reason they need to be secret is so we can have that mini quest arc dedicated to finding out where their headquarters was located. But in universe, why do they need to be secret? Daedra worship isn't illegal in Cyrodiil. The worshippers of all 15 other Daedric princes have their shrines out in the open. In the middle of nowhere, mind you, since Daedra worship makes them social outcasts, but still out in the open. Because social stratification aside, Daedra worship is not illegal in Cyrodiil. And before anyone posts a comment, no, it isn't simply because Mehrunes Dagon is so evil that it overrides the Empire's general tolerance for Daedra worship, because Boethia and Molag Bal are both just as evil as Dagon, and they are both worshipped freely in Cyrodiil as well.
I'm a mortal come to do my bidding. I only wish suffering and death. You will bring me both.
Now, once they assassinate the Emperor, then they become traitors to the Empire, and of course, they have to go into hiding then. But they've been in hiding for a long time before then, as evidenced by the fact that the 4 volumes of Mankar Cameron's Commentaries on the Mysterium Xarxes, which provide the clues to find the Shrine of Dagon, have been in circulation for quite some time before the events of the game. They only recently became traitors to the Empire. Also, this isn't really a plot hole per se, but it's still something I feel is worth mentioning. Why would you go to the trouble of making a quest where the goal is to find the cryptic clues and figure out where to go, if you're just going to have some lizard chick read the books off screen and do all the work for you to figure out where to go? From a gameplay perspective, doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose of having it be a quest where you have to find the clues? So we head over to the Mythic Dawn Shrine, grab the actual Mysterium Xarxes, and make a clean getaway. We bring it back to Martin, and he uses it to determine the things we'll need in order to open a portal to Mankar Cameron's Paradise. This leads us to 4 fetch quests before we can enter Paradise, and 3 out of the 4 MacGuffins we're going after don't make any sense. First, there's the blood of a Daedric prince. I honestly have no problems with this one, but after that, we then need to rendezvous with Captain Bird of the Bruma City Guard, who needs to be taught how to close an Oblivion Gate. To do this, you have to enter the Oblivion Gate with him and remove the sigil stone with him watching. This begs the question, why do we need to actually do the Oblivion Gate ourselves? Couldn't we just tell Captain Bird how to close the gate? It seems like a simple enough process. Does it really require a demonstration? Well, no, it doesn't require a demonstration because we're able to figure out how to close the Kvatch Gate just by having it explained to us rather than shown.
You must get to the top of the large tower. The Sigil Keep, they call it. That's what keeps the Oblivion Gate open. Find the Sigil Stone. Remove it and the gate will close.
So after that, we're back to collecting the things we need to open a portal to paradise. Next, we need the blood of an Aedra rather than a Daedra. This is more problematic than getting the blood of a Daedra because according to Martin, the Aedra don't leave their own artifacts on Mundus.
Unlike the Daedra Lords, the gods have no artifacts, and do not physically manifest themselves in our world.
In that case, Martin, what the Oblivion do you call Ariel's bow? That bow was in every game in the main series except this one. In addition to that, the brush of true paint from the Cheadenhall side quest, A Brush with Death, is woven from Debella's hair. Then we also have the Crusader's relics from the Knights of the Nine DLC. But okay, maybe, just maybe, we can accept that these artifacts don't contain any actual blood in them. But you know what else doesn't have that excuse? The very artifact we are currently looking to reclaim, the Amulet of Kings. That amulet is imbued with blood from Akatosh's heart, which is why the soul gem in the center is red instead of silver. Granted, I don't blame Martin for not considering the Amulet of Kings because, if we had that, we wouldn't be trying to create a portal to paradise in the first place. I'm just saying that Bethesda really dropped the ball on their own lore when they said that the Aedra have no artifacts, or any artifacts that are imbued with their own blood. A simple change to Martin's dialogue would have fixed this plot hole right quick. Instead of saying that the Aedra have no artifacts, you could just as easily have said that the Aedric artifacts aren't imbued with the Aedra's blood, with the exception of the Amulet of Kings, which is a catch-22 for us. Boom! Plot holes resolved! On a side note, if the Amulet of Kings and Hyper Septim's armor are the only known samples of Aedric blood in all of Nirn, then how did Mankar Cameron create his own portal to paradise? He most likely didn't use the Amulet of Kings because the Daedric artifact is consumed in order to create the portal to paradise.
Are you ready to give me the artifact? Remember, the ritual will consume its physical form. It won't be seen again on Tamriel for many years.
So why wouldn't the Aedric artifact be consumed as well? Next, we need a Great Welkin Stone. It turns out that there is only one in all of Cyrodiil, even though Cyrodiil was the home of the Aelids, because it turns out that these stones have been plundered over the years and sold off to various collectors and owners, none of whom actually live in Cyrodiil for some incredibly plot-convenient reason. So we are forced to go to the one Aelia dungeon that still has a Great Welkin Stone in it. Now, quick question. If so many of the Great Welkin Stones have been looted over the centuries, then how come so many other of the Aeliad ruins remain almost entirely intact, with every single one of their non-respawning Varla stones and regular Welkin stones still on their pedestals? And no, this isn't gameplay over lore, because there's a rumor you can randomly pick up that confirms that this lack of plundering does indeed exist in universe.
I've seen plenty of Aeliad ruins. You'd think they'd be picked clean after 2,000 years. But no, there's still great treasures there.
Last but not least, we need a Great Sigil Stone. To get that, we need a Great Gate to open. This begs the question of why Mehrunes Dagon even agrees to open a Great Gate in the first place. Why not just open thousands of regular Oblivion Gates and overwhelm the mortal world through sheer numbers? I mean, maybe the Great Gate is necessary in order to unleash the siege machine, although that's not made explicit. But then again, you don't exactly need the siege machine if the enemy can never move forward with their plan unless they have the Amulet of Kings. Mehrunes Dagon is immortal. He has, literally, all the time in the world to wear the mortal world down through attrition. But okay, let's assume that Dagon absolutely does need to use the siege machine for reasons we just aren't aware of. Even giving the enemy that one concession, that still begs the question, how does Martin know that this open plain just outside of Bruma is the place where the Great Gate is going to be opened? The only conditions that we know of that are necessary for a Great Gate to open are that 2 regular gates have to be open next to each other. It sure is convenient that the Great Gate opens just a few miles away from Cloud Ruler Temple, so the heroes are in the best possible position to actually stop them. It would suck if Dagon decided to open the 2 regular gates and Great Gate somewhere out in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, miles away from civilization, and by the time the heroes figured out where the Great Gate was, it would already be too late since the siege machine would already be all the way out of the Great Gate. The fact that Oblivion gates usually only appear in the middle of nowhere and never inside the city walls is already a commonly cited problem with this questline. At least if Dagon did this, he would be taking that already stupid thing and using it to gain a tactical advantage. So we finally enter Cameron's paradise. It turns out that the only way to Cameron's throne room is through what is known as the Forbidden Grotto. The only way into the grotto is if you're wearing the Bands of the Chosen, but of course, the Bands of the Chosen have 2 caveats to them. You can never exit the Forbidden Grotto with them on, and you can never take the bands off. So once you enter the Forbidden Grotto, you're stuck there for eternity. In that case, why not just make it completely impossible to ever reach Cameron's throne? The only reason we're able to bypass these seemingly impossible set of restrictions is because some random person decided to turn good and help us out. Gee, isn't that plot convenient? So why not just close all the loopholes anyway? So when we eventually make it to Cameron's throne room, his children are constantly coming back to life no matter how many times we try to kill them. So if the laws of physics in this realm are whatever Cameron wants them to be, why doesn't he just make himself invincible in this realm? Or give himself the ability to kill us with one hit? Or something? So we kill Cameron, and then Paradise ceases to exist. We're deposited back out into Tamriel and Cloud Ruler Temple. Gee, it sure is a good thing that we're deposited back where we previously were instead of planted some random place in Apocrypha. So anyway, we give the amulet to Martin, and now we're in the home stretch. All that's left to do is head over to the Imperial City and light the dragon fires, which shouldn't take more than a few minutes. But as soon as we get to the Imperial City, we find that Mehrunes Dagon himself has arrived in the realm of Mundus. This means that lighting the dragon fires won't do any good anymore, because the dragon fires prevent new Daedra from entering the realm of Mundus without a conjuration spell. But it doesn't banish the Daedra who were already here, as evidenced by the side quest breaking the Siege of Kavach. Since Mehrunes Dagon is immortal, that means he can't be killed and therefore can't be sent back to Oblivion by conventional means. So it appears as though the heroes are screwed. So this begs the question,
why didn't he do that before? Ass.
The closest I can think of to an explanation for why he didn't just do this at the outset is because his original plan was to use the siege machine. When that plan failed, then and only then did he fall back on his plan B of personally getting involved. But even then, that siege machine plan was pretty convoluted. This plan seems much more straightforward and simple. Why couldn't this have just been his original plan all along? We're almost done, but I still have one final plot hole to point out. Martin says there is one hope for their survival, and that he must make it to the Temple of the One in order for it to work. Once he's there, he shatters the Amulet of Kings and becomes Akatosh himself. So if he had to be inside the Temple of the One in order for this transformation to happen, why did Mehrunes Dagon launch his attack right outside the Temple of the One? Why not launch his attack miles away from the Imperial City, where Martin turning into Akatosh won't be able to help? And if it seems like my assessment of this questline ended in a rather anticlimactic fashion, that's because the questline itself ends in anticlimactic fashion. You don't even participate in the final boss fight in this questline. It is literally just a cutscene. I've heard plenty of people criticize the Alduin fight in Sovngarde for being anticlimactic, but at least you actually get to fight him in that boss fight. I don't know, maybe I'm just old-fashioned, but I kind of feel like getting to actually fight the boss is kind of the whole point of having a boss fight in a game. Well, that concludes my analysis of why the Oblivion Crisis makes no sense. Thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy it, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth story analysis of your favorite video games. In the meantime, however, I am Acer Thorn, and I will see you guys later.